Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of City Skylines in our fantastic city, where last time we figured out the secret sauce to making this place a success, and we're going to take that to the next level today by implementing some public transport. But once again, we're starting off with a cinematic and ending up focusing on our dairy production facility over here. Oh yeah, it's not the most exciting building in the city, but when you get down and zoom in on these buildings, the level of detail is just gorgeous. It looks so good. So for this episode, we need to construct the bus depot in order to create some bus routes throughout our city. As you can see, this one is rather large. We can put it on this type of road, but that is a service road, and although they can use that, it might cause some issues. But the way to learn is to experiment, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and then zoom in and check out the details here. Love the look of this building too. So I was just editing the previous episode and I realized that we don't really get to like zoom in and check everything out close up enough. And there's so many details, there's so many little things going on. Like look, we've got some students gathering over here at the university. Okay, and this is about as close in as you can zoom. Like I can't zoom any further. But the detail is there. That just looks like a regular street in a regular old city. This game is just so cool. Now, before we get to public transport, let's talk about the secret sauce, which is speeding up the game and letting it run so that your city can develop. Now you can see, look at all the demand that we got down here. We're easily going to be able to expand. Our population has continued to rise, and we've made a ton of money as well. We're now up to 50,000 income per hour. And if we look in the happiness meter, there are some really positive signs here. However, unreliable healthcare coverage again. And we can see a few spots that are waiting for an ambulance. This was a problem in the last city too. And I think I might change our policy for having these medical clinics sort of in the services area. Maybe we should put one inside each residential district. Okay, and that street that we were on a moment ago seems like a good spot. There's some low density stuff here, and when you're developing your city, you can't be afraid to kick out a few residents on occasion. And again, look at that, another gorgeous building. Okay, that seemed to make an immediate difference. We've now got no negatives here too, which is awesome. And if we check out the population of the city, you'll see that we've got an unemployment rate of 16%. And with so much demand for offices, I think we're going to convert this block into an office area. Oh, we got little heart bubbles. I've not seen that before. What's this mean? I have no idea. There's just heart bubbles floating off of this building. It's not the only one. Maybe because it's slowly leveling up from 4 to 5? Distractions aside, I was sitting here watching the unemployment rate slowly tick down. Oh, and this is great timing right here. We're going to put that in the middle of this block. Wow, and look at the boosts that gives. Right, that's awesome. And because of the happiness boost, I'm going to sort of put it near the residential areas that we have. There we go. But now back to the task at hand. We need to get our residents into this block so that they can work, and we're going to do that with public transport and buses. So after much thought and deliberation, there are two ideas that I just can't get away from, and I've decided what we can probably do is experiment with both. So the first idea was to have a set of chain links is how I'm going to think about it. You have one transport line from here to there, for example, and then from this block to the center of this one, from this block to the center of the next one. And I accidentally placed the road. Dang it. So anyway, our citizens are supposed to be smart. They'll know that they can get on one transport line, swap over to another in order to get to their destination. Now the other way we could do this is imagine that we have a grid of lines. I'm going to use the road tool again. I've got to be very cautious here, but imagine that this is a line going in this direction, and then we have ones going vertical too. Obviously this would kind of line up with the grid system we've got. If we put our bus stops at these roundabouts, then foot traffic from either block can come to that point. And then when the lines cross over, we can create, again, some sort of foot traffic network so you can get from one bus stop to the other. Now, this system would be much easier to sort of visualize and manage, but it does mean that the residents would have to walk quite a ways out to get to a road. And then when they get at their destination, let's say it's over here, then they've got to walk back into the middle of the block again. So let's go ahead and create a bus line. You can do this with these stop signs or shelters. I think I want to use the shelters just because they're a bit more visual. They pop out a bit. Oh, when I plopped it down here, it turned all of that side into a bus lane. Huh. For some reason, I didn't notice that when we did it on the opposite side. Well, I guess there's going to be very little room for parking in this block. And so this is going to be our first chain. We're going to have 2 stops on this side, 2 stops over here. And with the bus line tool, what you got to do is click on one of your stops, then click on the next one. Although we don't want them to go that way around. Okay, let's start again. It still looks really awkward. Basically, you click on each of the stops like this, but you also got to figure out what's the best way to link them together. You see, it comes back on itself. Okay, I think we need like a service road again here. Okay, I had to move a stop over to here, but now we've got a nice loop. Very direct and easy to understand, just goes around over and over again. Doesn't use this service road here, though. I would have thought that would have been a little more direct. It might be that I need to change the road type to this one here, double public transport lane. Now, that would do the trick, but then we don't get the pedestrian foot traffic. I need to think about that a little bit more, but we might end up changing some of those other connections. Anyways, we got our first bus line in place. We got the buses coming out. Gonna keep an eye on it, adjust some of these stats over here, and obviously build out some more bus lines and get this transport network up and running. I just got done conducting a little experiment over here. As you can see, pedestrians will go across this road, which does look a little on the ugly side. If we open up the bus line tool, you can see that we got a line now connecting these 2 blocks together. But the trick here is that I swapped this road over for the pedestrian street type that we had there before, and that would stop the buses from going through. So this isn't for buses, even though it says down here service and delivery vehicles. Yeah, I guess that isn't a bus. Now this doesn't say service or delivery vehicles either. It says public transport, emergency vehicles, and turning traffic. Oh, and turning traffic means this stuff can come through. It is not quite the road type that I'm looking for, basically. And I'm not sure that there's anything that we can unlock that would be. I know there isn't in the large road type. But anyways, we're going to stay on track with our experiment and continue getting these bus lanes set up. And after spending some time on this, we are absolutely cruising. Our population is booming. And look at this, 175,000 per hour. Happiness is all good too. And we've achieved Great Town. And thanks to setting up our bus routes, I've learned that the cemetery brings a lot of foot traffic over here. Look, you can see people are going to visit the graves of the deceased. It obviously makes so much more sense in hindsight, but that explains why there's so much foot traffic over here and lots of parked cars. As you can see, we've got a bus stop just over here. This one is just a sign though. Where did the bench go? Anyways, we may relocate the cemetery, which is obviously a rather problematic thing, but in a computer game like this, there is an option to relocate. Yeah, this is supposed to be a services block. Anyway, I have set up a bunch of bus routes, so let's have a look at this experiment. So as you'll see here, some of our routes are getting a fair amount of usage. This one, number 4, is doing fantastic, and then others not so much. So the weakest of all of our links goes between industry and office over here. We also have another line that goes from residential to office, so it kind of suggests that maybe them jumping over 2 bus lines to get to a destination isn't the best way to go. Next, we have 2 blue bus lines going from residential to offices, and then from commercial to offices. And that second one has a weaker amount of traffic, and if residential people were going to the offices, they would have to jump to the commercial space and then to the office space. So again, it feels like traffic lines we've set up where you jump from one to the next aren't as popular. But these 2 popular light blue services, these both go from residential blocks into the commercial zone. One of them is from this block to that one, and then from this one over here to this one. So when we zoom in on the commercial area, no surprise to see an absolute ton of foot traffic everywhere. This is like a central spot for the buses coming through. Look at this, the buses are just queuing up. It's so much fun to like zoom in and just check out what's happening down at the ground level. I should slow it down a little bit for this. Doing this is actually a really great way to develop the city, just watching the foot traffic and where it's moving. Because of this, I've created some better pathing networks like this one, so there's always a massive crowd of people and basically that bus is always going to be full. And if you are paying attention, yes, this bus right here is red. When you change the color of the line, so does the bus too as well. Now this was the second half of our experiment. We have 2 red lines. One of them is really successful, the other one not so much. The successful one goes from left to right all the way across here, and the less successful one goes up and down. However, its destinations don't link with things as well. There's not as much like traffic demand up here, so I think that makes sense. So here's some of the things that I've learned. Putting your bus stop right in front of your roundabout doesn't seem as smart, as it stops here, other traffic's coming through, and then it has to merge back in again. So ideally it should really be just over at this spot. Once it's gone through the roundabout, then it picks up passengers. But the biggest thing that I've learned is that experimentation is good because it gives you results. We've tried 2 different types of line and found success in both. So for example, bus line 5 has 1% usage. It kind of feels like it's worth just getting rid of that and then trying different lines until you find ones that are successful. If we now take a look at traffic around the city, I'd say it doesn't really feel that unchanged actually, and even the traffic flow here feels about the same. But just observing it, like, you see the buses coming through and nowhere near as many vehicles as before, so it feels like it's had a positive impact. And I don't really see any traffic jams anywhere either, so at the moment it really all just feels good. Okay, we had a couple of signature buildings unlocked. I think I want to save this one for a new block, but this one we'll put over here. I don't think there's any signature buildings in this block. Okay, I think I found a spot for you right there. Awesome. And we need to finish off with our zoning. By the way, we've unlocked like the highest type of density right here. And we got some abandoned buildings, so I'm going to go ahead and bulldoze these and then replace them with that highest density. Oh, we don't actually have demand for this right now. Earlier this was higher. It seems to have gone away again. Anyways, if we continue zoning out these areas, we'll get there before long. You know, just got to keep zoning out spaces, slowly developing. I want to put some higher density stuff into this region now. In fact, I want to focus on getting all of these areas we've built so far feeling like they're finished, which is going to be quite the task. So I think now is a good time for a skip forward. However, I do want to be developing the city a little more, and garbage management feels like something we need. A recycling center and an incineration plant. Now, the landfill that we have over here, oh my goodness me! It goes up over time. I never saw this in the previous city. Let's have a look at the pollution level here. Oh my god, it's really bad. What about air pollution? It sort of drifts off in that direction. Oh, and the facility is actually full, which could mean we're about to see garbage back up around the city. Basically, it's perfect time for the incinerator, and this will actually help generate electricity as well. Only issue is, once again, like I've said, some of these buildings are absolutely ginormous. Okay, the relocate tool in this game is really forgiving. We're going to put it opposite the landfill. Oh, look at that. Not too much silliness with the terrain, just a little bit of the edge here. Oh, once again, mighty fine looking building. Oh, this game just looks so good. Right, this might be a bit of a money maker too, as we can burn our trash and turn it into electricity. And in the previous city, it felt like you needed a lot of these buildings to keep up with the amount of trash. So straight away, I'm going to upgrade it so we can double the incineration speed. Then this landfill, there should be an option to start emptying. Yeah, so we want to send this stuff over to the incinerator plant. Okay, and the recycling center isn't going to fit on this island unless I move some stuff around again. I think we'll put this one over in this area. And again, I might relocate this because the upgrades, some of them are on site, but other ones go out the back, and you can actually build multiple of these. We don't need them right now, but it's something to consider. And the reason I'm happy to bring in recycling at the moment is because we've really reduced the traffic with all of the buses. We've got quite a lot flowing in right now. This is probably new residents coming to the city because we've been zoning some more areas off in the distance. Oh, and now we got, what is that? Is that garbage or sewage? Sewage? Right now? Dang. Okay, well, we've got to build another sewage pump, obviously. If we put that down there, it's probably going to solve the problem for the time being. Is this going to jump up? Okay, there we go. It did just jump up. Awesome. Kind of looks like we're on the brink of needing some more water as well, so we'll plop another one of these down here. Now, I didn't really get around to this in the last city, but the wastewater treatment plant, I think if you build it, it just means that this poopy water is going to be less poopy, because this is a problem that needs to be dealt with. Right, and we have points to spend. This only costs 2. Okay, and this one isn't a massive building, so I think it's just going to fit in on the edge of the landfill real nice. Maybe not. Oh yeah, we had this little building here. I guess it's getting relocated as well. Alright, and it takes the trees with it. So that's allowed this very cool building just to fit in over here. And I think that's taken care of most of our problems for now. Oh, we got a traffic problem, a crash, and a bus has been derailed. I wonder how this will get resolved. I'm going to keep my eye on this for a moment and see what happens. Okay, we've got a bus pile up over here. This is not good. Oh, okay, that bus just decided, nah, I'm good again, and I'm going to get back on. Right. I was expecting maybe an ambulance or something would come over here. Anyways, it is time for that time skip ahead. Like I said, I kind of want to get these blocks feeling like they're finished, so we can start to pay attention to new parts of the cities, and that will involve finishing our bus routes too. So our 4 residential areas have been about as developed as they're going to get, so we need to expand off into the right and create more in the future. But things have developed well. However, it feels like the city is in a bit of a slump at the moment. I've noticed that some industries are going out of business, claiming high rent. This is also an issue throughout the city. However, when you click on each of these houses, most of the time what you see is that the household wealth is wretched. And when it comes to taxation, you can actually subsidize, like pay back the citizens who are in the poorest bracket. So I think what we're going to do is put 2% onto that and see if we can get some of these bubbles to disappear. And then when it comes to industry, I'm not going to do a deeper look into which areas are struggling. I'm just going to lower everything by 1%. And we can take that hit because I was earning over 200,000 an hour. Now, let's get back to the buses. As you can see, the network has been very well developed. And a pro tip, when you create a new line, always change the colors down here. It helps you find where your newest ones are, because then they'll be blue, which is the default color. Now, as for these usage percentages, it feels like when you remove one line, the percent goes somewhere else, so I haven't really bothered too much about this. The thing that I've focused on is getting those lines going from left to right and top to bottom. They are color coded, so red is left to right and orange is up and down. The yellow are our old chain link ideas, and then I've got these pink lines that just go up from the residential out to the red network. And the key thing here is that we've just got tons and tons of passengers, so it really does seem to be working. And I feel like the best way to measure that is to not look too heavily into these numbers, but to look at traffic in the city. Basically, wherever you go, there isn't really a lot of it. You just see the buses going around, which I think is the best sign. And because of this, our bus depot has become absolutely massive. I've had to expand it multiple times for all the different buses we've got running. So yeah, I think we've got a good system, and going forward, I think our real metric is just keeping an eye on traffic and make sure the buses are keeping it down. Now, we have reached a small city, which is important because it unlocks... Oh, high density offices? Well, that's something that I wanted. Ah, great town. This was the one that unlocked the high density commercial. And as you know, with this block here, I've really been holding out from developing it too much because I want to put in that high density. Let's go ahead and put the European style over here, the North American on the opposite roads. And we have some high density offices too, which I was saving for this. However, aesthetically, it might not look so great because they rise up really high. In the previous city, I blended a lot of blocks like this with the offices. They worked really well next to one another. So here, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. You can see by the cranes, our commercial ones aren't going to be too tall. But yeah, I'm hoping this brings a bit of balance to the city, as this will create jobs. But we've also lost a lot in the industry areas. I probably do need to investigate what the underlying issue is here. Well, every single one of these that I've clicked on is minerals and plastics. And they produce electronics, so let's knock that down to 3%. Well, these commercial buildings ain't too tall, although they're not built in the fanciest of districts. I'm not sure if when they level up, they will change inside, but for now, they fit pretty well. And you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish zoning out the rest of this block. And I tell you what, getting down at the street level again, the views are fantastic. The details on these buildings, just look at the windows, little AC units. You can see some blinds and some variety across each of the different windows. Okay, the buildings on the opposite side should look slightly different. Yeah, look at that. A little more repetitive over here, but again, loving the details. Crazy Colibri. What do they do? Beverages. Ah, okay. Well, I am very much hoping this expansion won't do this. Create a lot of not enough customers. Finding the balance in this game is always just so awkward to achieve. But it looks like industry is making a bounce back with its demand over here, and I'm seeing the blocks fill in. Despite the high rent of electronics, we really bumped down taxation for that. Anyways, in this game you can just spend ages looking around at your city and finding little things to investigate. The latest one seems to be a lack of hearses, so I guess we're going to build another one of these. So let's not lose sight of all the things that we've been doing. Of course, we built this incineration plant, and look at this. The stored garbage is piling up. The landfill is actually slowly getting rid of its stuff. I do have a suspicion that the trucks might just be going back and forth between here, which is why this is filled up so quick. And for now, we will address the problem by simply storing more of it on site for the time being. And the cool thing about the incineration plant is that we're now making a profit from the electricity by burning trash. I think I might offset this with the service fee. Yeah, let's actually use that to charge our citizens less. And education makes a profit too. How did that happen? There are fees, but I can't adjust this though. I guess we could put some of it back into the budget. Oh, well, look at this office building over here. What did I tell you? It's too tall for the area. It just looks so out of place. I think I might just leave it there for now though. Oh, except, oh wait, it upgraded itself? I thought it become abandoned. This does not look as nice as the last one. I have applied the secret sauce again by letting the city run for a little while, which develops the citizens coming in. The amount of money goes up, and then, yeah, more of these bubbles to be addressed. The most concerning being the industry over here just not shifting in the slightest. I will continue to experiment and keep track of what I'm doing, and I will start planning out the next area over here. We want to do a big expansion down the island. But for this episode, our focus has been the bus lines, which has been successful. And look at the demand down here. We are absolutely ready for an expansion. I think I'm going to slow down the speed, maybe even pause it while I work on the road layout over here. But that is all for the next episode, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to catch the future videos, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye-bye.